today we're going to be talking about pepper spray. Is it worth it? Is it useless? Is there any use for it? Now, I usually refer to this as the piss can, mainly because, as you're probably about to find out, that it's not very good. But does it have its uses? I'm going to see if there is any uses that we may have been missing, or if it is just, in fact, a piss can spraying piss. Is this pepper spray, or is this just a piss can? Well, the first thing we're going to look at is the range. Now, I'm going to just be starting from the back of the room and kind of just slowly walking towards them while holding it, kind of inching forward and seeing where the distance is. And it's about roughly here. This is a decent distance. It is noteworthy that if you just keep spraying him, he will not really surrender. You do need to shout at him. Now, as you can see, like I am just constantly spraying him. And he did look like he went down for a millisecond there just to kind of surrender, but it looked like there was an animation glitch where it kind of like rubber banded. So it does have some level of making them wanting to surrender, but the best way to do this is obviously going to be yelling at them when you are spraying them, is to be yelling at the same time so that he can surrender quicker. Now, this does have a ammunition. As you see, I did just drop that when I ran out of the piss can. One can does offer a lot of pepper spray. I'm not sure if when you are using pepper spray that you're going to be using it and holding it down for so long that you need another one. I do think there is like a halfway mark when there was like a little spray there, and then now I am out. There is no actual amount coming out. It is just little spurts, but I am essentially out. I am holding it. As you can see, it runs out. And if you have more than one, obviously you would drop it. It automatically drops the can, and then you would cycle to the next one, as you kind of just saw. And to be clear, when I have this, and it does visually show a spray, but it's not actually functionally doing anything. As you can see, he's not reacting to it in any way. I want it to be clear that all of my testing is done on hard mode, so any effect will probably be different on normal mode. So if you are playing on a different difficulty like standard, then it will be something to note that it's going to be different. Also, during the testing of this pepper spray, I did notice a weird glitch where for some reason it wouldn't spray whenever I would restart. I would walk in sometimes during testing into a level and I would try to shoot the spray, and as you can kind of see, like it wouldn't work for some reason. And the funniest thing about everything that I've been testing with the spray is that it even helped me get an A on hard mode for dorms with AI. Because usually I'm the type of person to just use flashbangs, and like that's usually like a pretty good way to like subdue targets, but if they're running at you, you can't throw a flashbang if they're right in front of your face, right? You just, obviously a taser would do just as well to some degree, but it's kind of hard to miss with the pepper spray, which is interesting, at least when it comes to knives. So like you're kind of more guaranteed to be able to deal with a knife if you're using pepper spray. Now, it's definitely not a replacement for anything that you would normally use, like a flashbang or even a taser to some degree. But honestly, it is very handy in dealing with civilians, is what I've kind of noticed the most. Also, a quick note, if you are bringing pepper spray, make sure to select it first so that it appears first whenever you want to swap to it. So if you have C2, pepper spray, when you do swap to your other gadgets, it's going to be pepper spray first and then the second item second. It's something to remember and consider. So when it comes to like seeing an enemy with a gun and then spraying them, a lot of the time, as long as they're not like aggroed to you yet, it can be acceptable. But a lot of the time, I would never ever risk it, because a lot of the time, first of all, not only does it take a super long time, and a taser would make much better work of this than pepper spray, of course. But like you can see like periodic animations where it does look like he's surrendering, but then he's not. And I'm almost out of this can right here, just spraying him. He does seem to be more and more disabled by it. And there we go. So it took like a full can of pepper spray just to turn him around, just to make him subdued. But you never ever want to, if they are already shooting, you should not be using pepper spray, because this is essentially what's going to happen. And sometimes, for some reason, the pepper spray will jam. And they also do this weird thing where they will run away for some reason. I have no idea why. They get like really active and they're super quick at running and everything. It's kind of wild. And I don't know how far I would have had to chase him to subdue him, but it would have taken at least, I'm sure, a whole can of pepper spray to make him surrender. When it comes to using pepper spray on civilians, it can be really good because you can spray them before you start approaching them. A lot of the time, if you don't have pepper spray, you're just bashing them to make them surrender. And that makes the majority of all civilians surrender, with a few exceptions when it comes to certain targets. But a lot of the time, bashing is enough. Now, if you go into a map very quietly where there aren't enemies at immediately in a stress level, pepper spray can be very valuable. Now, it isn't much more benefit than bashing, but you can kind of think of it as a temporary bash to some degree. And if they don't listen, you can just spray them and just blast them. So as long as you have shouted at them, it's totally fine to take them out. It does help you speed up the process of making civilians surrender, though, and it gives you a little bit of safety being able to use it from range, and because it's hard to miss with it, since you are able to essentially have a constant stream of potential blinding effect. Now, there has been some instances where, just like that right there, I was unable to actually spray it. Sometimes for some reason, I have no idea why, but the trigger just doesn't work. Like, you're pressing on the activation button, you spray it, yet there's no spray coming out, as if it's like jammed or something. And I even experienced this just at the start of levels where I would come around a corner, CC a target that I was going to spray, try to spray it, and then nothing would happen. Like, okay, and then I'd like click it again and it wouldn't work. And then I like click it a few times. I was like, I had to like click it a few times to actually get it to spray. So it's really weird, and I'm not sure if like this is a known glitch. This definitely should be brought to attention when using this, because it makes it way less reliable, and it doesn't even give you that much value to begin with. So on top of it being essentially useless, it's has less value because it's way less reliable. And of course, you want things that you have in your kit to be reliable. If you have a weapon out already, it's not something you want to be using. You'd be much better off with a taser. So what are my thoughts on the pepper spray? Honestly, it's garbage. I'm not sure if it looked like I was talking it up a lot, but it is not good. It has its moments where it is very handy, but to take up 1 point, especially for its amount that you need to spray somebody with, and it does offer a little bit of utility. I can't deny that, but a taser is just way more efficient and way more effective. You have 3 magazines per 1 point of taser. So if you have 1 point in taser, you have 2 shots per magazine, and you have 3 total reloads. So that means a total of 6 shots with 1 point. Now, the pepper spray is awesome for speeding up the process of subduing civilians or suspects that do not have their weapon out. And it can speed it up a little bit faster. When you're tasing someone, they have to go through the animation of being shocked, and that can take a little bit of time. But in the grand scheme of things, taser's always going to be better than pepper spray. Like, maybe the only time pepper spray might be a little bit better is if you're dealing with a lot of enemies with a knife, like dorms. Like, I think pepper spray is actually a valid, decent item to bring for dorms, simply because if you run into a target with a knife and they're running at you, it'll stop them. For some reason, it'll stop them. If they have a gun, they'll run around like crazy, of course, sprinting away or sprinting at you or whatever, or just keep shooting at you while covering their eyes. I did notice that this interaction of running away was a lot more frequent on harder modes, because whenever you use gas for some reason on harder modes, they're much more aware of like the effects of the gas, and maybe it doesn't subdue them as fast, which I believe 100% true, simply because they do have more like resistance to that kind of subduing effect. So every target's going to be like, you have to completely subdue them either with a flashbang or a stinger or whatever, or of course, taking them down. But a lot of the time when it comes to like making them surrender, any type of gas, pepper spray included, is just completely ineffective a lot of the time, especially when they're shooting. And even if they aren't shooting you yet and you catch them by surprise, it's still not good, because you need to use a whole can of pepper spray. And as I said, there's that opportunity where they will just run away and sprint away, and it's kind of hard to keep up with them. So obviously, I don't really recommend using pepper spray. I kind of use it for fun, and it was kind of fun on dorms, I will say, for like stopping enemies that have knives. But you have to be in the mindset to be able to use something and swap to this. Because if you have a taser or pepper spray, a lot of the time, you're not really swapping to it, simply because you kind of forget about these things. And a lot of the time, you're just like, okay, well, I have my gun, I'm just going to shoot him. Unless you are someone who likes to roleplay during your playthroughs or something, or play with people who also like to role play and kind of like immerse yourself into this kind of world or atmosphere, pepper spray isn't going to be giving you too much of an advantage over just using a taser. And don't get me wrong, in hyper specific situations, pepper spray is better than a taser, but a lot of the time that's just so niche, it doesn't have a lot of value. Or taser has a value all the time because it can be deployed at range, hit a target, and completely stun them. And a lot of the time after you shoot one taser in them, it will completely subdue them. You just got to yell at them. Anyway, that is it for the video. Thanks for watching. And as always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. My next video probably will be a Nessus video. I will be making a few videos about Nessus, just depending on if people find them interesting or not. But I still will be making Ready or Not content, so don't you worry. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching and have a good day.
Element, this is Doc, our negotiator, and we believe they have set traps.